Hello boys and girls, welcome to my channel. I'm For Classic and welcome to Benchart. So for today what I do have in here is the Crew Motorfest. So finally I get the name right. So I'm running these on the Xbox Series S and I'm a little bit disappointed when it comes to the performance and graphics quality of the game. Well, graphics wise I don't have anything to say about it. I think graphics are good enough, especially for the Series S. Although the game lacks any sort of settings by the time being, so there is no performance mode, there is no quality mode, you just have one setting. And to be honest, for me it wouldn't be the issue if the main setting for this game was targeting 60 frames per second, although it isn't. The Crew Motorfest on the Xbox Series S by the time being, it is locked to 30 frames per second. But not only that, I also feel that the game sometimes have uneven frame pacing, so sometimes it just feels like it's not entirely running at 30 frames per second. I'm not really sure if it drops with all of that or not, but I do feel that sometimes there is a little bit very tiny small stutter from time to time. Possibly it is some sort of traversal stuttering, or just it is some inconsistencies in frame times that do happen sometimes under the 30 frames per second mode. I don't know. For me, a racing game like this, it would need... I know that this is an arcade, alright, and it's not simulation, but in my opinion, it would require to have a 60 frames per second mode. I mean, I can run this on my PC with a GTX 1650 Super at 60 frames per second, playing at low settings, and yes, while using lower resolutions upscaled to 1080p. I know that, but I would still prefer to play that way at 60 frames per second than having increased graphics and play a racing game as fast as this one sometimes at 30 frames per second, even being an arcade game. So I'm disappointed in that sense. I also noticed, for example, there are some meetings where you can play with your character and walk and play in first person. Those are some kinds of Motorfest meets, and during those events I even noticed like very big screen tearing, showing off that the game is not even running at 30 frames per second. So I really hope that Ubisoft in the future does deliver a 60 frames per second mode, even if it needs to go under 1080p and upscale to from something lower like 900p or even 720p with FSR2 should be a great option. Honestly, I would prefer to play at 60 frames per second that way than playing the game at 30 frames per second. There are some games where I'm super okay with 30 frames per second, but racing games as fast as this one, it's not really one of them. So I'm disappointed with this. So with this, also I want to add something. For example, the Crew always was kind of a very arcade-ish game. We had the Crew 1 with a very arcade-ish game with the story. Crew 2 was a little bit weird, and the gameplay was okay. But Crew Motorfest, it is the first arcade game from Ivory Tower, which I do feel that gameplay-wise, it is so much improved compared to the others. So in that sense, it feels like a really different game compared to the predecessors. But yeah, this is kind of a Forza Horizon ripoff, especially for PlayStation. This might be attractive, I mean, for the PlayStation users, but for Xbox players, possibly this is more of the same for them. Alright, so that's it guys, thank you a lot for watching, that will be soon. Goodbye.
Aloha. My name is Keola Nakahiki Raposo. You think you can remember that? Ah, easy, Ron. No worries. You can just call me Keola. I was told that you needed someone to show you around. I'm more than happy to share a story or two along the way. You might want to take some pictures of these places, yeah? No worries. I asked Motorfest to take some pics for you. Just cruise and enjoy the ride. Yeah, the design on this van, that's the kind style. He's a local street artist that always sets the mood for the sandy beach over there. Saved aboard. We'll catch some waves later on the North Shore. Get the biggest waves. For now, enjoy the landscape. Take a look at that island over there. That's Molokai. Ko Hawaii Pai Aina, or the Hawaiian archipelago, was said to be pulled up by the magical hook of Maui. That's what my kupuna told me. You can believe it or not. The Coconut Resort is just in front. An epic hotel, unfortunately destroyed by a hurricane. The palm trees that line the road is pretty cool. Preps you for the first pit.